Sometimes it's a different story. Sometimes it's not a miracle, but instead a hero. And today you get to talk to Pastor Jim Cross, talking about the time that he spent in the mission fields of Southeast Asia.
And from there, my wife and family, we went to Southeast Asia for 11 years as missionaries.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Well, we were with the International Mission Board, Southern Baptist Convention, and I was at what's called a strategy coordinator for unreached people groups. And so I had 2 Islamic people groups in Indonesia.
Wow.
That 2.5 million Bugis people. And I mean 3.5 million Bugis people, 2.5 Achenese people, but that you can't. And at that time, we couldn't identify 20 Christians out of all of those folks. So,
Really?
Yeah. And so my role was to mobilize the Great Commission Christian world to expend their resources on those people groups so that they might hear the gospel of Jesus.
Well, talk about that experience. My gosh.
Really what I was doing, I was really the principal officer of a human needs educational consortium headquartered in London. That gave me a reason to work directly with the government agencies of Indonesia. And I'm not going to get into that many details with it because all of this is going on even today.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Somebody can pick up the details and go, aha.
Exactly.
But it allowed us to be in places that were not supposed to ever have Christians.
Okay.
And so we would place educators. We provided international expertise on agreed upon educational projects.
Okay.
And
So in other words, there's still danger in doing this stuff.
that's absolutely.
Okay. That is crazy in this day and age.
Yeah, but it's the reality of the realities.
And so what was it like when you were in Southeast Asia? What were the living conditions like? What was your experience like?
And that's very varied because we lived in Singapore for a period of time. Singapore is the cleanest, safest, most high-tech city-state in the world.
Yes.
And they call it a very fine city because if you spit on the ground, you get a fine.
Right.
If you don't flush the public toilet, you get a fine. You chew gum, you get a fine. So it's a very fine city, but it is safe as it can be. Our 2 daughters could put on their school uniforms, go out by themselves when they were, my wife could tell you exactly, probably youngest daughter's 6, oldest daughter's 9, something like that. They could go to the public school bus, get on the public school bus, go down to the public MRT train, get on the train, go downtown, get off the train, get on another school bus, and go to school. Never had to worry about them.
Really?
Perfectly safe. No one's going to touch any of these kids. They don't have school buses. They use the public transit to move children to school every day. And if you touch a child, you will be seen, you will be caught, and you will be punished. Very safe. Then you go south of the border to a little city of Jakarta, Indonesia.
Right.
12 million people at that time in Jakarta.
Okay.
And I remember my youngest daughter, we're in a taxi in Jakarta, and it's right around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She looks up and says, "Dad, there's the moon." I said, "Honey, that's not the moon. That's the sun." But you could look right into the sun because the pollution of the city is so bad. And so going from Singapore to Jakarta was a little different.
Definitely.
And different world. So, but in Jakarta, you still have, you can go to McDonald's in Jakarta. You know, you can go to some of the fanciest shopping malls you'll ever find in your life, or I can take you to the worst poverty you'll ever see.
Right.
But then I would travel all through the islands of Indonesia, and so every variety that you can imagine is out there. I mean, when you step out in a village, some things haven't changed in 500 years in those villages.
Well, so again, thinking about the danger, like how did that present itself to you in your daily life?
The thing is, danger is a relative concept.
Yes.
And depends on how much fear you want to carry with you personally.
Oh, yes. Fear is.
And as a Christian, I don't mean to sound like super spiritual or anything, but as a Christian, I don't think we should just be walking out in front of busy streets and daring 18-wheelers to hit us.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you're going, well, if I'm being obedient to my best understanding of how God wants me to live my life, well, my days are numbered anyway, so you don't have to be anxious. So you're going to pick up. I'd go out to a village. You're going to deal with health issues. I would get giardia and parasites almost every time, and just all that stuff, and eat a lot of bacteria.
Kind of a daily level of everything, in addition to whatever else.
And then you have just the political situation and the religious situation that is Islamic law rules first there, and then civil law. And so they have special compensation from the central government for that. But they really want to be their own country. They want to be separated from Indonesia as a country. Indonesia is a Balkanized country. 1945, all these independent kingdoms were just pressed together to be a new country. And so they never wanted to be part of the bigger country. They wanted to be their own Islamic state. Well, so they're in civil war against the national government. And I mean, when I say civil war, I mean actual fighting in the night. And so probably one of the more dangerous things that ever happened is because the organization I was with, people at night, when the fighting is in their area, they would go farm rice farmers during the day, but then they would just descend upon the local mosque at night and spend the nights in the local mosque because that was a safe zone. The central government and the Gerakan Aceh Merdeka, the Aceh Freedom Movement, GAM, GAM, they would not hurt people on the mosque grounds either. So it's kind of like a safe zone. So whole families, thousands of people would just descend on a piece of land that's the mosque and spend the nights there and stuff. Well, then you have sanitation problems, food, eating, water, all that. So our organization was helping provide all of that.
You were kind of doing a lot of the dirty work, so to speak.
So, well, and then the attempt was always to get back into the capital city before sundown. But if not, you get to spend the night with everybody out there. And being the only non-local, you stick out quite well. But but the locals, at least the local imam, head of the mosque, like the pastor, preacher of the mosque, he's very glad you're there providing services to his people. But had opportunity one night, got stuck out one night where some guys I didn't know, the imam says, you need to go with these guys. And I'm going, I don't know these guys, but you need to go with these guys. And there's gunfire, there's all this happening out in the distance. And I go, so I have to go with these guys. And we get driving in the dark and we stop in this, just out in the middle of no place. And the guy that's in the back with me says, we get out here, we take off through the jungle, and we end up where there's campfires and everything else. And one of the leaders of the local resistant group wanted to meet the person who's providing food and water and things for the locals.
Yes.
But now you're out where no one knows where you're at. There's AK-47s. There's gunfire going off echoing through the hollows. And that's where you just make a decision that I can either sit here and be fearful and all, or just go, if this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where I'm supposed to be. And,
exactly. And
what's neat is, he says, well, why are you doing this? Why are you helping our people?
Exactly.
The organization was a non-religious organization. It was just a non-government organization, NGO. Mm-hmm. But I could say, the organization I work for is non-religious, non-sectarian.
Sure.
But, Saya orang Christian, but I'm a Christian.
Sure.
And so, it really helps me to be able to be part of an organization like this, because as a Christian, it's what I should be doing.
Right.
And then he would ask, well, how do you know that? Well, my stock answer, always with my Islamic friends, still my stock answer with Canaanites also, is the only way I can answer that with any authorities from my holy book. Can I share with you my holy book? And I would take my Bible out. You'd always carry non-marked Bible. You never mark a holy book in Islamic society. That would be profane. You keep it in a nice cover. You protect it. It's a holy book. Take it out and say, Bapak, sir, read this for me and tell me what you think. And let him read to me. And so we sat there till daylight talking through Scripture. You know. But the reason for that is because you're giving a cool glass of water to thirsty people. You're giving rice to hungry people.
Right.
And it just becomes a bridge to be able to sit down and do what I really wanted to do in the first place. So,
and so how did that experience continue? I mean, how did it end up?
It's an interesting thing because then, 2 days later, I'm trying to get to the airport and having to drive to Maidan to catch, from Aceh to Maidan, you have to find a map to know what that's like. But having to go all the way through the state or the province, we call them province, but we would call it a state of Aceh. And every stop, every county, the police department, which is really part of the military in Indonesia, is stopping you to receive donations. And you get a sticker to put on your vehicle showing that you donated. And if you don't, you're going to be detained,
every time.
So every county and I had to get to this plane. I was going to miss this plane. And I saw government officials, military, central government military people, up in front of this very long line we were waiting for. And I told my driver, I said, hey, pull around all these people. He goes, oh, cannot. I said, yeah, just pull around all these people. Get up to where that half track is at, and I want to go talk to that guy and talk to a military man that is out to kill the guy I was just with a few nights ago. He's there, and I know some of his bosses and things, and told him, man, I don't want to be a pain about this, but I can't be stopped in every one of these counties. I've got to get to Maidan and get back for a meeting. And he goes, oh, that's no problem. And he puts 2 military vehicles, and we go as fast as we can and still be alive on those back roads all the way to Maidan. So it's a weird combination. You're with both sides of the conflict on any given day, and you're kind of living in this middle that I'm not trying to help either one of you other than what is right here. So you just live in that tension of just trying to be this medium, this in between, trying to be neutral.
When you're not neutral at all.
You're not. It's not for the killing of people at all. And so it's just, that's living in those, that's a cultural thing. But so I would sit down and have study with the governor of the province and things, because I'm one of the few Christians that he knew. And, I would just be able to look at him and say, I'm from America. And so we're Christians in America, even though that's not fully, but they think we're all Christians. I said, so I really don't know Islam. So, tell me what's significant to you as a Muslim? And I could strike up those conversations knowing that they would say, well, so you're a Christian, so what's significant to you? And we can have that give and take and be able to share the gospel. So I've fallen down the hill, trying to get down a hill to get into a rice field, walk across a rice field, and you fall down a hill like a ping pong ball, and you just lay on the bottom of the hill, and your Indonesian friend thinks, have we killed the American today? So you're just laying there. I broke my tailbone, had to walk 5 kilometers through the woods to finally get to transportation with a broken tailbone, cut open elbow. I fell at a waterfall and broke my tailbone and cut my elbow open and let my Indonesian friend take my sewing kit. The hotels used to give you sewing kits for buttons. I say, here, take this. I need you to sew up my elbow because I got to get this closed before I go through the jungle. Because that's a fun experience. Right?
Yes.
So again, join us for more 15-minute miracles and 15-minute heroes on the Dale Wiley Show at DaleWileyShow.com.